Good afternoon, Irish fans, and welcome to the next episode of the The Irish Fan Podcast. My name is Danny. I'm not an Irish fan. I am the Irish fan. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. We got some breaking news that has gone out in the last couple of hours. I've got my season roster predictions for the offense that I'm going to go over. But first, I need you to do me a favor and please like, share, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell so that every time you guys get that notification, you can listen to your boy talk Notre Dame football, college football at large, and how it pertains to Notre Dame from a 30,000 foot view perspective of the Notre Dame football program. Sorry for the word salad there. I appreciate your understanding. I know you will not make fun of me for it at all. First, okay, the breaking news. It's good news. It is good news. But at the same time, it's not a good look. And here it is. The USC Notre Dame rivalry is back on. Looks like we're going to play from 2030 to 2033, so there'll be 4 seasons in a row. That's for sure. Beyond that is anyone's guess. Who the heck knows? And the most important detail is we are going to play them at the beginning of the year. This will be the first game of the year for both the 2030 and 2031 seasons, starting at USC in 2030 and then Notre Dame in 2031. I have a hard time believing they're going to stay on campus. I hope they do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making a prediction that they're not going to be, but I don't know. It's going to be, there'll be week 1 games. And all these different TV contracts and stuff, and NBC and whatnot, CBS or Fox, most likely Fox, whatever the game is televised on, that they're going to want this on a neutral site, because the beginning of the college football season, a lot of college football is going that direction, but those details are yet to be ironed out. I don't know about that. So, what does this mean? What does this mean in the grand scheme of things? How does this impact Notre Dame? Well, it gets your biggest rival back on the schedule. That is a good thing. It not just puts your biggest rival back on the schedule, but it is one of the biggest rivalries in all of sports, certainly college football. Even the most ardent Notre Dame hater, ardent USC hater would agree that it is the greatest intersectional rivalry in all of college athletics. It's a good thing. Here's my take. Here's my problem with it. The biggest problem. So you got to rewind about a year and a half ago when this was all kind of coming to the surface, bubbling to the surface of USC potentially being not playing Notre Dame going forward. Specifically because Lincoln Riley has actually publicly stated, hey, we play in the Big Ten. That means our schedule is just really, really hard, and we need to make it easier. So we need to play Notre Dame at the beginning of the year, or not at all. And that was it. That was the complaint. That was the big thing. That was the public thing. Everybody knew it. Everybody saw it. This is what everyone wanted. From the USC side of things, specifically coward Lincoln Riley. Truthfully, he doesn't want to play Notre Dame, and he's not going to be there in 2030, I guarantee it, whether it's because he's fired, he goes to the NFL, or whatever happens, he will not be the head coach of USC when USC plays Notre Dame in 2030. I guarantee it. And there's not a single other Notre Dame pundit or college football pundit for that matter who would disagree with that. But still, it got him off the hook from having to play Notre Dame from 2026 till then. And that is the most, I'm sorry, excuse my language, chicken shit thing I have seen from a coach in the realm of college football in quite some time. He deliberately sabotaged this great rivalry that has been played since 1924, specifically for his own selfish reasons of going maybe 9-4 or 10-3 and being in the Big Ten, and because he was in the Big Ten, squeaking into the playoff. That's why this happened. That is why. That's why we stopped playing them, because they didn't want to have to play a whole season and face Notre Dame at the end of the year, only with Notre Dame beating them and giving the College Football Playoff Committee reason to hold USC out of the playoff. That's why. So now that we know why, and that's not even controversial. That is public record. Everyone knows it, whether you're a USC fan or not. That's the truth. How Notre Dame handled this was very poor. Pipa Vakwa handled this very poorly. Why? Because we gave USC everything they wanted. We played this game of chicken only for Notre Dame to balk at the last second. They wanted to play. The whole reason why this stopped was because we were not willing to play USC at the beginning of the year. That's the whole reason why we stopped doing this. Well, now we're playing them at the beginning of the year. It's the first game that we're going to be playing in at least 2030 and 2031. And stands to reason it's going to be that way in 2032 and 2033. So we gave them what they wanted. If we were going to do that, why didn't we just agree to those terms in the first place? Instead, we told USC to go kick rock. USC gave us this ultimatum. Look, we're only going to play you, but we're going to play you at the beginning of the season, and that's going to be on our terms. If you don't like it, then we're just not going to play you, and we're going to stick with our Big Ten schedule. Those were the terms. To which Notre Dame said, "Fine, we can schedule whoever we want." BYU, you're up. A program that's been better than USC for the last 5 years, you're on tap. We'll just play you. And that's what Notre Dame did, which is fine, which is totally fine. I love the rivalry. I hate USC. I love Notre Dame's, but I love the rivalry. And if you're a fan, if you're a lover of college football, you love those rivalries too. If you're an Oklahoma fan, you want to play Texas every year and vice versa. If you're a Bama fan, you want to play Auburn every year and vice versa. If you're an Ohio State fan or a Michigan fan, you want to play each other every single year and vice versa, no matter what, without hiccup, because you hate that other school and you want to beat them. And that's what athletics, that's what competition, specifically college football, that's what it's all about, is rivalries and playing these games. It's important. Indiana, Purdue, it is important. You have to play. But you can't get yourselves into situations to where it's going to be uncompetitive for you and your school, especially in this era of NIL. Well, USC played that game. Notre Dame called suit. They said, "Fine, play your Big Ten schedule. We'll play our non-affiliated, independent schedule." We put that specific thing in the crosshairs because of this problem, and we balked. And we gave USC everything that they wanted. Not only are we playing them at the beginning of the year, starting this off, we'll be playing them at USC. Now, of course, you could say, well, you ended the series last year at Notre Dame, so what's the big deal? You played at Notre Dame, then your next game, it'll be at USC, and that's how it would have been in the first place. Well, I feel like it was just an unnecessary cell phone. There's no reason for this. It would have been a better look if USC and Lincoln Riley came whining and said, we don't want to play you guys at the middle of the year and then at the end of the year every year. We want to play you at the beginning of the year. And to which Marcus Freeman and Pipa Vakwa should have said, "Fine, we'll play you anywhere, anytime, you big crying whiny babies. And your stupid Big Ten schedule that's not even that tough, because you don't play. You're not going to play Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State every year. You're not going to, and those are the only competitive teams in the Big Ten. Shut up with your UCLAs and your Washingtons. No, once every 5-10 years, those two teams are any good. Your Big Ten schedule are those 4 previous mentioned teams. Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and your rival. That's it, and Oregon. And you're not going to play those teams every year, like I said. So we should have just called their bluff. We should have been like, "Fine, okay, we'll play at the beginning of the year. Yeah, no problem." And see what they said after that. I don't know. I just don't like it. It's not a good look. It's good that we're playing them again, but that's my opinion. Maybe you disagree. I got a buddy that I've been texting today, and he kind of disagrees with that take, and I understand. I do. I love you, Brohan. But I wish Notre Dame would stop with these self-owns. One of my biggest criticisms of their independence is not their independence. It's because they fail at times, certainly in the last 30 years, to wield that independence to their benefit. If you're going to remain independent, fine. I love it. I love Notre Dame's independence. But use it in a way where it advantages your school. And we have not done that. Over the course of the last 30 years, we haven't done it. We're starting to, with NIL, slowly but surely, and recruiting. We Marcus Freeman, this team that we have with coaching and the general managers, the athletic, the administration, everyone is finally, I think, on board with putting a national title back in the Goog. Everyone is on board with this. Everyone. And for the fan base, we're all on board. No one wants to see a national championship from Notre Dame more than me. I promise you. But there's just times throughout our history where we've just had these self-owns, and I just don't get it. I just don't get it. We've had opportunity to actually build our brand and put it on blast and say, fine, well, we do have this. We have the luxury and the capability, because we're independent, to play you anytime, anywhere. We'll take you on because we're a better program. We'll beat you then. We'll beat you at home. We'll beat you at USC. We'll beat you at AT&T Stadium or wherever you want to play. Rose Bowl. This is what made Notre Dame great. This is what Knute Rockne did back in the 20s and 30s. We'll just play anyone. We'll play Army in Yankee Stadium. Fine. We'll play them. We'll beat them. We'll play Stanford in the Rose Bowl. We'll play USC in the Rose Bowl. Doesn't matter. We'll play you and we'll win. This is what made us great. And we forget these things. We have forgotten these things. We should have said that in the beginning, and we didn't. I don't want to rant about this too much, because you're going to hear a lot about it in the next couple of days. Whether it's a good thing, a bad thing. It's another opportunity for the national media, which I hate, to kind of be like, see, Notre Dame, they're caved because they're not in a conference. And it's just unnecessary. It could have been a situation where it was, man, Notre Dame, they threw around their weight, then, and look at them. They'll play USC wherever they want, and they'll beat them. A great opportunity to show the rest of the country that we can play on our terms and we can play on your terms and we'll still win. That's what winners do. And I just don't think they act like I don't think the administration, certainly Bavacqua, I just don't think they acted like winners. They caved. They absolutely did. There's just no other way to look at this. You can be happy that that's back on the schedule, but I just don't see it any other way. So that's my take. That's my opinion. Let me know what you think. Honestly, put it in the comment section. I want to know, because I'm hearing both. I'm hearing both from certainly the Notre Dame media sphere, that this was a good thing, and a cell phone. I'm seeing both. So let me know. Let's get into the roster. This is not going to be very long because it's pretty cut and dry. The two deeps, I think, are already set from spring. It's all going to be up to injuries. And here's my one, here it is. My big asterisk, the but if, or the buts, or the, whatever. It's health. This is all going to be about who's healthy, who's ready to start camp. If there is someone who's injured, can they be ready for the first game? So I'm gonna give you the first and second team of every position. Talk about each position group and the importance of it is to the team and what I think this position group is going to do this season. So and this will be my offensive edition. I'll do a defensive edition after camp. After the first couple of days of the start of camp. So probably next week, next Sunday or Monday or so, because I don't want to. I'm trying to make videos that aren't as long as 45 minutes, 50 minutes, because I know you guys don't have that much time to listen to this idiot talk about Notre Dame football. So I'm trying to make these shorter. So anyway, okay, quarterback. Let's just start there. This is not a mystery, thank God. How many times? I mean, think about it. In your Notre Dame life, have you had to be, man, who's going to be our starter? We just have no idea. And we just don't, don't have to worry about it this year. It's going to be CJ Carr. He'll be our starter, barring injury, but I don't think think he'll be just fine going through camp. And our backup quarterback, I believe it's the first game of the year. Okay, it might be different going into the middle of the season. I think I'm hearing a lot of things about Teddy Gerard, that he is going to eventually crack the 2 deep. And when I say crack the 2 deep, I'm not saying he's going to be a starter. No one's beating out CJ Carr unless he gets injured. I'm just saying he's talented enough to eventually become the number 2, and I think there's a chance for that. But game 1 against Wisconsin, what is the 2 deep at quarterback? Guaranteed CJ Carr and Blake Hibbert, in my opinion, which is good. What is this position group going to look like for this season? Well, here it is. If it's not Heisman Trophy candidate worthy, I'm not saying CJ Carr needs to win the Heisman Trophy, because that we've seen that award be much more of a team award than it is an individual player award in the last 30 to 40 years. Nevertheless, he needs to be a candidate. He needs to be in the talk. I think he will, and it is how we do this year is entirely contingent on how well CJ Carr does. I do not think he'll have a sophomore slump, primarily because he's not a sophomore. He's a redshirt sophomore, but he's a true junior. And he will have the same coordinator, same head coach, same quarterback coach that he has had his entire career at Notre Dame going into this season. That is a very, very, very good thing. All signs are pointing up. I'm seeing national pundits who normally dump on Notre Dame really high on CJ Carr. They were high on CJ Carr last year, but they're super high on him this year. He's one of the top 5 players in all of college football going into the season. Again, we'll see what happens. We'll see about injury and all that kind of thing. But he is by all projection to be a top 5, top 10 player in the entire game, and that is a good thing. And I expect big, big things. I'm hearing all the things from Intel, from all the various websites, that he is locked in over the summer in the weight room with people, with his wide receivers, his running backs, his offensive line, that he is really focused and ready and hungry to be great and to win a national title. So, running back, another non-mystery, barring injury. Aeneas Williams will be our number 1 running back, and I think and this is in this prediction who the number 2 is will be Nolan James. I talent-wise, it should be Kedron Young. Talent-wise, you can make an argument that Kedron Young would be, if he's healthy and remains healthy throughout the year, that he could eventually be the best back on the team and really emerge as one of those top guys, because he is big, he is fast. Think of CJ Procise, and that'd be a decent comp. So I'm really excited to see what this running back room can do, because I think a lot of eyes are going to be on it, and it's going to be one of the reasons why a lot of people think Notre Dame it wouldn't be as good as they should be, because we lost Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love, and so a lot of people think that the running back room is going to take a step back. I don't think it's going to take a step back, because we're not going to be we won't be a run central focused team this year like we were last year. They're going to do what they have to do their jobs, and do it effectively. Aeneas Williams is a tough runner who can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a great blocker on the line. He is a good running back. Is he a great one? He could be, but I don't know that we're going to see that this year, because this offense is going to focus around CJ Carr. So, but it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. He doesn't have to be great. He needs to be good. He needs to be who he is, and most importantly, he needs to stay healthy. So you're gonna, if I had it my way, and if everyone's healthy, you'd have a steady dose of Aeneas Williams, Kedron Young, and Nolan James. So my biggest concern is that if Aeneas Williams goes down, I mean, behind him is Kedron Young coming off a serious knee injury, Nolan James, who was hurt a lot last year and he hardly played, and then 2 freshmen. So it's deep, but it's not as deep as it was last year. It's not. It doesn't have to be, because we have CJ Carr and a whole host of wide receivers, which we're going to get into. But I expect this room to be a lot better than people think, and I expect Aeneas Williams, if he stays healthy, to be a 1,000-yard rusher. I don't think there's any reason why he couldn't be. specifically because of how our schedule lines up. Our schedule's it's a 3-game schedule. We got Miami, SMU, and BYU. As long as we beat those 3 teams, we'll be totally fine. So that's the running back room. The wide receiver room. This is perhaps the biggest question mark on the entire team, in my opinion. Your starters are going to. This is my opinion. I think I'm hearing a lot of things too. Also, that this could be the case. I think Micah Gilbert should emerge at the boundary. One of the reasons why that is because Quincy Porter's not going to be ready for the start of camp. Who knows if he'll be ready for the start of the season because he won't be ready at the start of camp. So since these are game 1 predictions, game 1 roster 2 deep predictions, I think Micah Gilbert will emerge as the number 1 starting boundary wide receiver in the slot. How could it not be Jordan Faison? And if Jaden Greathouse stays healthy, a steady dose of those two, every other player, as far as I'm concerned, Jordan Faison, Jaden Greathouse, Jordan Faison, Jaden Greathouse. It should look something like that. Greathouse can play the field or the slot. Faison can do the exact same thing. So if those 2 guys are not heavily in the rotation, it's because Greathouse either doesn't have the buy-in that everyone says he has right now, or he is just he constantly has health problems, which he's been plagued with over the course of his Notre Dame career. A hamstring injury that he just cannot get rid of, and it's hard. It's not necessarily his fault. That's a wide receiver position injury. That if you keep it's like sprained ankles in basketball. Once you sprain it once, it's just easier to do it over and over again, and guys eventually retire because they sprain it so many times. Hopefully that's not the case for Jaden Greathouse, but if the whole reason why I have him at the number 2 slot and it's Jordan Faison as the starter is because you have to have a starter, and Faison is much more durable than Greathouse is. That's the only reason why. The field position, there's no reason why it shouldn't be Mylan Graham. It should be Mylan Graham. Now, in a perfect world where everything works out and recruiting rankings translate over to the college game, it should be Cam Williams. Because that dude, he's going into his, I think junior year, true junior year, and he was a 5-star recruit. He's got all of the physical tools to be a great wide receiver at the collegiate game and even make it to the NFL. But there's just been something going on with this kid and his focus. Maybe he doesn't want to play football. That happens. Maybe he wants to be a scientist or something. He's very smart. It's one of the reasons why he's at Notre Dame. He's one of those kids that could play at Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and handle the academic rigors of Notre Dame. Something that I say all the time. But I'm optimistically putting him as the number 2 on the field. I think he could also play boundary, but we'll see. We'll just have to find out. Couple guys to look out after. Logan Saldate and Jerome Bettis Jr. are having great summers. A lot of people are saying that they're having great camps as well, and I see them cracking the 2 deep as well. I think you're going to see a steady rotation of 5 to 6, maybe even 7 wide receivers this year. Not because that's what we need, but because of CJ Carr. And the dude's going to dish. He's going to dish it out, and I think the coaches are going to want a healthy rotation to keep those guys healthy, for one, and to keep schools guessing, to keep defenses guessing. If so-and-so's out on the boundary, whether it's Cam Williams or Micah Gilbert, you have no idea what's going to happen because both those guys are talented. You have no idea what Jordan Faison or Jaden Greathouse are going to do in the slot or the field because they can play both those positions. It's great. It's a great problem to have when you have this much depth. There's a lot of questions, yes, but there's so much depth. And I barely mentioned Quincy Porter's name. Whenever he becomes full go, he will be in the rotation. So it's deep. They're deep. They're talented. Probably the deepest and most talented wide receiver room we've had in the last 10 or 15 years, if not longer, at least on paper, for sure. And you also have experience when you consider how much football Jaden Greathouse, Jordan Faison have played. It's a very good thing. This is a very good thing. I'm very excited. A lot of question marks in the wide receiver room, but I'm very, very excited to see how this happens, how this works out, because of CJ Carr and how we finally have that quarterback to make the distributions to these talented guys. So, tight end. Probably the question mark competing position group on the entire team with wide receiver because of the injury problems. I think Cooper Flanagan is coming off of a devastating injury. James Flanagan is coming off of an injury as well. And Ian Premer is a true freshman. Everyone is saying he's a legit 5-star guy. And the sky is the limit for him in terms of what he can do in the college game, but he'll be a true freshman. Anytime you have a true freshman on the field, it's always a toss-up as to what they're going to look like. Are they going to look like a 3-star or a 5-star when you put them out there? And there's times they're going to look like that 3-star because they're true freshmen. So that's why I have the starter as Ty Washington. He was pretty durable last year. He will be the ranking senior. He's got his big boy body. He's 6'4", 253. He needs to improve his pass game a little bit, but other than that, he'll be a solid tight end. And as long as Cooper Flanagan can play, I think eventually he will be the starter. Again, this is game 1 predictions. That's why I have Ty Washington in there. Otherwise, it would be Cooper Flanagan. I need to see him in camp. I need to see how his camp progresses. If he's healthy and he plays a full camp and has a great camp, it'll be Cooper Flanagan for sure. No, there's no doubt about it. He'll be the starter, which is good. But we'll see. Okay, offensive line, my last position group. So you can argue that all of football, from high school, from Pee Wee, high school, college, NFL, comes down to the trenches, offensive line and defensive line. Most national title winning teams, I want to emphasize that, and I always do, because competing teams is something I no longer want to be. I want to be a winning team. Most national title winning teams have 2 things in common. 2. And they're big. The trenches, offense and defensive lines, and quarterback. Go back and look at every single national title winning team, and they have those 2 things. The trenches and quarterback. Very, very few will have a quarterback who's a game manager, but just a dominant defense. If there's ever a caveat to that, if there's ever an exception to the previous rule I just mentioned, that's what it is. It's game managing quarterbacks, but stingy, all decade types of defense, which we could have. We could have that too. But those 2 things, quarterback and trenches. So I am so excited to see what this offensive line can do. The jury is still out on in-game prep for Joe Rudolph, what he does game to game, who he puts into position game to game. Last year, I made a heavy criticism, and I think I was right. We had guards playing tackle and tackles playing guard. And the proof of that is our starting left tackle this year is now our starting left guard this year. Our starting right guard last year is our starting right tackle this year. So it's literally we're flipping the guards and the tackles. This is a very, very good thing. A very, very good thing. Our starting tackle this year was a backup guard last year. So hopefully he figured this out. I'm not saying he listened to me. I mean, maybe he did. That's pretty impressive. Maybe he did, which I'm totally kidding. But they're in position. The positions that they should be playing are the positions they are playing. That is very good news. Starting left tackle, Will Black, 6'7", 316 pounds. That's beef. That is a beefy man right there. And starting left guard, Anthony Knapp, who was our starting left tackle last year, at 6'4", 6'5", 304 pounds. This is much more a position that he can thrive in. He wasn't awful as a left tackle. A lot of people want to say that I'm critical of Anthony Knapp because of last season. He's just playing out of position. That's all. He's a great offensive lineman, and I'm really excited to see what he's going to do as guard. And I think this kid's going to thrive. I've heard it said that maybe he should be playing center. I'd be fine with that too, but we'll see. He's going to start at left guard, barring injury, and I'm excited to see what that's going to look like. Center. I wanted to put Ashton Craig here, but I have no idea how he's going to be at the start of camp. I'm imagining day 1 through 5, when we're just going through drills, the starter or the quote unquote first team guy is going to be Joe Otting at 6'4", 305 pounds. Which that's who it should be. He's got the health. He had experience last year for coming in for Ashton Craig when he went down again. So Ashton Craig is coming off 2 devastating knee injuries back-to-back seasons where it's ended his season, both 2025 or 2024 and 2025. So who knows? It's up in the air whether he is going to be ready for the start of fall camp. I don't think he will. So my starter will be Joe Otting. Starting right guard, Sullivan Absher, 6'7", 320 pounds. Beef. More beef. I love the beef. And I think he's finally starting to get comfortable at a position. I mentioned the criticism about Joel Rudolph last year and just a second ago about him playing guys in the wrong positions. There's probably perhaps no other player on this roster that has been more thrown around in positions than Sullivan Absher. He's played literally every single position. He's played every position on the offensive line, including center. There's some guys that can do that. There are. I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like that. Like, this kid is big. He should be a tackle or a guard. I mean, he's at least playing a position that he played last year, and he's sticking with it this entire season. I think it's going to be really beneficial for him. And your starting right tackle is the most penciled in position one of the most penciled in positions on the roster, let alone on the offensive line, is Gerby Lambert at starting right tackle, 6'7", 325 pounds. And that is skinny for him. More beef. So that right there, talent alone is a Joe Moore Award-winning offensive line. They're that good. They could be that good. I'm not going to sit here and make a prediction that they are, but they are that talented for sure. And I'm so excited for this because if they are on that level of being one of the top 5 best offensive lines in the country, that means CJ Carr is going to have a lot of time to throw the football, and that means there's going to be a lot of points scored. I'm very excited to see what this offensive line can do. I'm finally seeing Joe Rudolph making the right decisions. This is a good sign going forward. And the only question is health. We have been devastated in this position group for the last 2 seasons. We lost 3 guys in 2024 by game 3. 3 starters out of 5. 3 out of 5 we lost by game 3. Last year we lost 2 again, midway through the season. So we're going to need the depth. And that depth looks good too. So even let Joe Otting, let's say he starts and he just remains there. You have a healthy, you got an Ashton Craig there, who, if you need a couple more weeks for him to get ready, you have that luxury because of Joe Otting. Get him healthy, get him ready, and Ashton Craig can play guard or center. That's a good thing. You have 2 freshmen that a lot of guys are talking about, and Tyler Merrill and Grayson McKeague. You don't want true freshmen necessarily starting on the offensive line, but if you do, you want them large, and both those men are very, very large. But even if they don't, you got a couple of sophomores that are cracked. They're good enough to crack the 2 deep and even push for starting lineup for the starting lineup. And Owen Strebig and Matty Augustine, who I've got at your backup right guard and your backup right tackle, respectively. Styles Prescott, he's got a lot of time playing on the field. He actually had meaningful time coming in against Miami. Didn't look great, but he's another big, long offensive lineman. This will be his third year in the program, so he'll have his beef, he'll have his man body on him, and multiple years under the same coach. So all that's going to benefit him. You have Chris Tarrick and Cam Heron behind them. So you've got a lot of depth. You've got a lot of depth, and because our schedule starts off favorably for us, you got a lot of time to get these guys reps. You got a lot of time to get some of these injured guys healthy. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. I love this kid. I love his talent. I love what he could have. Unfortunately, I say that word could have. Those words could have. He could have brought a lot to this program, and he still could. I'm not making any prognostications, but Charles Jagasaw is he's if you want to talk about just top to bottom talent, he's the most talented offensive lineman on this roster, and that's saying something. And it's not. And by the way, it's not even close in terms of talent. Again, which is saying something. This kid would have been as a true sophomore, your starting left tackle. Went down with a pectoral injury, kept him out of the entire season. He came back. We all know the story. Late 2024, starts a game against, comes in in mop-up time, not mop-up time, but I can't remember who it was that went down, but he came in and played guard well against Penn State, one of the best defensive lines in the nation, and held his own. Then he started the national title game against Ohio State at left tackle. Just doesn't play all season, and hey, we're going to throw you in at left tackle at the last game of the year in the national title game against the best team in the country, and was totally fine. He is that good, but unfortunately, he has just had too many injuries, and at this point, too much time not playing football. If there's anyone who's ever played football, anyone who knows the game well, they know that if you're held out long enough, it just is not good, especially at offensive line, where you need reps, practice reps and game reps, even if it's mop-up duty, to get into your playing body. Where this is different from a kid who probably doesn't start or play until his senior year. If that kid is healthy, then at least he's getting practice reps. Maybe not all of them, but he's getting practice reps. He's able to work out, he's able to lift, and all those things. Where Charles Jagasaw, he has not been able to do that because of his injuries. So he could be fully healthy and get back to his playing strength. Those are two big ifs. But even if those two things happen, he's now been out of playing for almost 2 to 3 years. That's devastating for a football player. I don't know if he's going to be able to come back from that. If he does, honestly, let's say by midway, he's not ready. Marcus Freeman's already on record saying he's not going to be ready for camp. So we were told the same thing last year. Maybe he'll be ready by mid-October. It's the exact same thing. He had at least 5 surgeries. It looks like he had a bad infection from the repair in his arm from that break that he had over last summer on an ATV accident. And it's held him out, and he still might not be back to being ready. I think everything is healed, but now he's got to get his strength back, and it's going to take some time. That just takes time. There's no way you cannot rush that process. It has to take time, and it will, and it's going to. But let's say it does, and he is able to start playing by October. I think you can at least get some depth from the guy, and I think that'd be a victory. If he can stay healthy this year, get his strength back, and actually just play a little bit of football, that's a victory in my opinion. Because then he can come back next season and hopefully push for being a starter for next season. So that's my list. That's my offensive predictions in terms of who's going to be in the 2 deep and who's going to be ready for game 1 against Wisconsin. I am super excited for this. I cannot wait to see what this team can do. It all hinges on this offense. Our entire season hinges on this offense. How healthy our line can be, and how healthy and accurate and good CJ Hart can be. Like I said, all national title winning teams have 2 things in common: quarterback in the trenches. So here it is. This is it, folks. that'll be it. I'll be back next week to talk about defense and any other breaking news that comes your way. Until then, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. I love you. God bless you, and we'll see you next week.